right, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk a little bit as kind of a review for your exam is I want to talk a little bit about sampling and specifically talk about the difference between a stratified and a cluster sample. So what we're looking at is we're asking ourselves, okay, I want to actually generate a sample. And when I generate a sample, what I'm going to do is let's imagine I'm going to take, I've got a high school and it's got 3,000 people in it. Okay, 3,000 high school students. Okay, and they're broken up into there's freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So those are the different groupings that we have. And so we've got these four groupings. Okay, so we break up the grouping into four parts. Okay, so what we'll first look at is we'll ask ourselves, well, if I'm going to use stratified sampling, what would that look like with this group of people? Well, we've got these four strata, and what I want to do with stratified sampling is I'm going to pick individuals from each. So for stratified, we're going to sample from all groups. And we're going to do that randomly. So in the stratified one, okay, what it'll look like is we'll have, say for example, I've got this grouping. I'm going to pick 25 from the freshmen, 25 from the sophomores, 25 from the juniors, and 25 from the seniors. Okay, so what I have is a sample of 100 people, 25 from each grouping. Okay, so in this case, for the stratified, we have members of the sample from all groups. In the case of a cluster, we're going to randomly select groups. So let's say, for example, we pick freshmen and seniors. And in that case, we're going to select everybody who is a freshman and a senior. Okay, we randomly select the groups, and then we say all of the members of those groups. So there it is. That's the cluster sample. So in the stratified sample, what we've done is we've randomly selected individuals from every single one of what we call strata. In the case of the cluster sample, okay, so here's stratified. In the case of the cluster sample, what we're looking at is we're going to randomly select groups from all of our groupings, okay? They're going to be called clusters, and we're going to actually sample everybody who's within the cluster. Okay? So let's take another example. I like this one. I actually got it from a student earlier today. Let's suppose that there are 5 streets in a neighborhood. The stratified one, the stratified sampling method would say select 3 randomly chosen houses from each. From all 5 streets. And the cluster would say select one of the streets and survey everyone on it. And survey all of the houses on it. So we can see this generates another example, right? In the case of the stratified, you're going to randomly select from the groups. Okay, so allow me to actually explain that again. We're going to take all the groups and we're going to randomly select individuals, whatever groupings that we have, from all of the groupings. In the cluster, we're going to select one of the groupings or more of the groupings. We're going to randomly select some of the groupings and then we'll select everybody within that grouping. Okay? All right, so that's basically how it works, all right? On the one hand, in the stratified, what are you doing first, right? You break everything apart, just like we were doing with the cluster, but in the stratified, we're going to look at every single one of the groupings, right, and randomly select from every single one of the groupings. In the cluster, we're going to randomly select a grouping and then pick everyone within it. That concludes this video.